Welcome back, video creeps. All right, so today is such a very fucking special day because I have my best buddy, Mr. Brad Thornton, here on video.
Hey,
Say hi, Brad.
creepers.
It's nice to have you here, man.
That is nice. It's like now like 800 people are seeing me instead of 15.
800 people do not watch my channel.
I know. I'm just saying.
They come for the subs. They don't stay for the videos. For those of you who don't already know, which would be ridiculous because I talk about it all the time, me and Brad do a podcast together called Aimless Discussion that's right here on YouTube as well. But what you guys may not know is that Brad is seasoned in this shit. This is not his first fucking go around. Brad used to be on a show called In the Mic of Madness, where he actually made a triumphant return recently. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, I'm doing a double guest thing. I wouldn't say I've returned, but I've visited my old stomping grounds, having a good time with it. Right now we're wrapping up like the Friday the 13th. They've been doing every Friday the 13th movie from part one through. We're about to do Jason X, and I just did Jason Goes to Hell with them.
I invited you here today because you lent me your copy of Night of the Creeps, which is a movie that I had never seen before, and I'm hating myself for it now because it was so fucking good.
That's just a movie that was on HBO back in the day, and I just happened to see it, and I saw it many times because, like I said before, you watched what was on back then, right. And I love that shit. And now with the Scream Factory special edition, we could see the good ending instead of the fucking bullshit teaser that the studio forced them to put.
Dude, I can't tell you how upset I was after, because I watched the fucking director's cut first, so I got the good ending, or at least I hope that that's widely regarded as the good ending, because it's so much better.
Then the fucking dog vomiting a fucking slug towards the camera, and then, we have to leave the audience with a fucking dumb scare, otherwise they won't get it.
What was that?
That's just a product of the 80s. The same reason that Freddy's glove comes out of the bitch in part two. All that shit. Like, if you don't leave somebody with a stinger at the end of a horror movie, then they don't leave the theater happy, I guess. I don't know.
That's so stupid. So stupid. Especially because, the actual ending that they intended for it to have, it builds everything up for another movie and shit.
And it would have been a dope fucking sequel because they would have all been, decomposed fucking corpses.
Yeah.
Instead of, freshly killed corpses.
Well, after I watched the movie, I jumped online to see if there was a part two or if there was something else to this story, because it's incredibly interesting. I didn't think it going into it. I figured that it would be another one-off, but I'm craving more. And I saw that as fucking recently as October, Fred Decker, the guy who made the first one, wants to make a part two with the original cast.
Yeah, that would be fucking interesting. He also did Monster Squad, I believe. I know it was Shane Black, and I believe him. That's another movie that could have used a sequel many years ago. I don't know how I feel about it because you're not going to have Tom Atkins. You're not going to have the guy that played JC. The best you could do is get fucking Jason Lively, who played Chris, and fucking the girl, as if they're still going to be together.
I hope that they are. I think that's one of the cooler things about that movie is just seeing her with the flamethrower and him with the shotgun. And they might not be dressed up in the same shit, but I love the idea of them wearing something similar, and they're just fucking older and they're badass, and they've had to continue with this shit until a major threat ensues for a nice big sequel.
It would be pretty cool if they did a movie where these fuckers have just taken over Earth, and it's because it's been so long, so you just jump ahead 30 years or whatever, and they're dealing with the fucking alien apocalypse.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that's one of the negatives about this movie for me is they open it up with this really weird intro with these little fucking aliens running everywhere. that was such an interesting thing. I thought that those aliens were gonna come back. So like for the theatrical, it means like you guys didn't even see the spaceship at the end of the director's cut. So there was no
Correct.
aliens.
I remember when we did, it was on while we were getting ready for our Aimless episode, and you did see some of it. And I remember you being excited about that alien, and I just remember thinking like, well, I'm sorry.
That's all you get, Mike.
That movie is crazy because it seems to like switch genres like 4 times before it settles in, you know?
Dude, for real, for real. I was fully convinced. Like, I knew that we were gonna go to the 80s because, again, while we were filming that Aimless, it was on and Chris was watching it. But I remember thinking like, okay, this is gonna be a 50s movie, and I was like, oh wait, no, this is gonna be an alien movie. Oh wait, no, this is gonna be an 80s movie. Okay, fine.
It's gonna be a zombie movie. It's gonna be a fucking movie about killer slugs. Like, it's all of these things.
Yeah. I think that's what makes it good, though. That's definitely one of the things that gives it all that charm. I would like to know why the fuck, like, there's a story to be told in that first, like, minute with the aliens that we have no idea about. Like, who are these aliens? Why did they go against the other aliens? Why did they send it to Earth? What was this experiment?
Yeah, I know, and I kind of appreciate in a way that we don't know, because I'd almost feel like a sequel would probably try to explore that, like, to a nauseating degree or something, maybe.
Oh, it would
I don't
be
know.
a different movie completely. It would be a totally different vibe and everything. But going forward into the future, I would like to see these characters return to keep fighting these slugs.
Like, my stance on sequels is always going to be the same. Like, if I don't like it, I won't buy the fucking thing. You know what I mean? So who gives a shit? Make it. Make it.
Yeah, make it. Who knows? It could be great. In that intro, there's a great scene when it's still black and white where the girl's sitting in the car and she's trying to get her like boyfriend to come back. And she's like, come back, like, I'll let you fondle my breast. It's, you know?
I mean, that's a pretty good deal. If he hasn't gotten there yet, like, I'd come back.
for the 1950s, that is an incredible deal. That's such a good deal.
Right, we're talking about the days of like Animal House, fucking over the pants hand jobs with a glove,
Right.
like.
Right, exactly. I do wish that we saw Tom Atkins in that intro, in that black and white intro. I know that later on we come back and we end up seeing scenes of him, like how he was there and how he came across the guy with the axe, who's fucking badass. I loved all of his films.
Oh yes, that fucking. He was so briefly used in the movie, but that zombie version of him, like, later on, is so sick.
So good. So good. When the two are main guys, when we get Chris and we get JC, which JC is fucking fantastic. And I think it was such a bummer to lose him so soon in the movie. But when I look at the movie and how it played out, I think he died at the appropriate time. But when you first lose him, it's sad.
It's hard because that guy is like, the reason I get emotional when he fucking dies is because when I watch that, I'm like, I never had a friend even close to that good growing up. Like, that was the greatest wingman in the history of the fucking world. And it's so powerful. And like when he freaks out and tells Chris, like, fuck you, like, that scene was incredible. He's like, I'm trying to fucking help you. Like, you know, all you do is whine. Like, you know, he's just being real.
Yeah, no, he's being totally real. Maybe if you weren't such an asshole, girls would like you. Like, you know, it's shit that you need to hear from good friends.
Because the way he like enters that fraternity party and tries to like get the girl to talk, like, just a completely unselfish, beautiful human being, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Look, Chris, when you're depressed, I'm depressed. And I don't like being depressed. It's, well, you know, depressing, yeah. So do me a favor, okay, bud? Cut out this being depressed shit. Chris, this is me talking here. I'm your bud. I love you. We have a bond, a warmth.
And then he, like, sacrifices himself. Like, he was a smart guy. You brought up how, like, selfless he was, and that was definitely one of the things that came across for me when it came to this guy. Because he knew the threat. he knew what was going on, and he fucking kills himself. So that way, you know, he doesn't have to burden the world with this. He was one less problem in the world.
Yeah, and he took the time to like make a recording so that Chris had a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm. That's a good friend.
He was a great fucking guy. And that recording, the part that fucking gets me is when he talks about like, I walked. Like, even now I'm like, oh, like fucking I feel it, dude. Because I mean, in case you haven't seen the movie, this fucker's like, he's on crutches. Like he's got like some kind of palsy or some shit.
Fucking Walter Jr. syndrome.
You're a pussy.
Yeah, when I was looking up news about like the sequel and shit and like what they're trying to do, I found all these articles alluding to the fact that like JC was gay for Chris. But I don't believe that shit at all. I don't see that.
I can, now that you mention it. Like I could, if they decided to somehow bring it in, I don't know why they would since JC's gone, but if they did, I could see it. Like, haven't you ever been in love with somebody who didn't love you back, and then you just kind of just became their biggest supporter and made sure their people they dated weren't giant assholes and shit?
Oh sure. Yeah, and it's not like we saw. I mean, to just play into it, it's not like we ever saw JC going after anyone or show explicit interest in anyone other than Chris. So I can see that point.
I just kind of figure that it's more along the lines of because of his disability, he just doesn't want to put himself out there for rejection and shit. He just does what he does.
Dude, when fucking Brad, sorry that you share the same name. I can see why you were complaining about it before.
Bro, name one Brad in pop culture that isn't a piece of shit. Not an actor, a character in a film. Like, name one Brad who you're like, that's my favorite character. He is cool. The name Brad is exactly what the character in this movie is. Like somebody that would wear a sweater around his neck and fucking talk down to other people. Like, Bradley Cunningham III, good sir.
When they get together to go and like get the body to try and join this fucking beta like thing, they say the term corpsicle, which I think is one of the greatest band names of all time. It's just waiting to happen.
No shit, right? I love everything about that. I love the Asian janitor that screaming like banshees.
Screaming like banshees. Couldn't get over it. I do think that you know, the scientist in this movie, like the guy who he dies in like 2 minutes, very almost irrelevant fucking character in this movie. I feel like he's like Alpha 5 as a human being, just based off of how he set up his like laboratory. It looked just like Power Rangers, with fucking sword on in the middle and shit, and like the buttons on the side.
And that's kicking. Ay, 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 ay.
Alpha, my man. Hey, forget about the hip hop, man. Keep being a robot and keep that control console working.
The slit throat fucking walker. He like walks past a security guard at some point, and the security guard's just like, "Have a good night."
Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit with the walkers and people not noticing them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the homegirl brings fucking zombie Brad like upstairs to break up with him and doesn't even know.
Doesn't even notice. Doesn't even fucking notice. That shit's so good.
I'm not even gonna say that's unrealistic. Like, if you fucking pay attention to human beings, like, they don't really pay attention to shit.
No, so when I watched that scene, I actually thought, like, that's really clever for her character. Because the whole movie long, she has a habit of looking down and not looking people in the face and shit. That's why every time that she looks at Chris, for us as the viewer, we can be like, oh no, she's into him because she's breaking her normal character to actually look at this guy. So right. To be around Brad, this guy that she doesn't want to be around, it totally makes sense that she wouldn't even look at him and just go through the motions.
Yeah, especially because she's about to break up with him, you know what I mean? Like, it's completely sensible to me, but it plays as such an amazing comedy moment too.
Yeah. Do you have any moments that you want to bring up in particular?
I more just wanted to mention the naming conventions in this movie because I know now it's like super fucking cliche to like be like, oh, the character's last name is Carpenter for like John Carpenter, but like this movie was the first one to do it and they went all the way. Like JC stands for John Carpenter. His last name is Hooper, like Toby Hooper. Cynthia's last name is Cronenberg.
Oh, right.
There's a
How hot
sergeant,
was she, by the way? Jesus Christ. She was cute as a button.
Yeah, cute looking girl. There's a Sergeant Raimi. And then the Asian janitor's last name was Miner, like Steve Miner from Friday the 13th. Like I'm probably even missing some. I'm even looking at IMDb right now, but there were so many little nods, and I just really appreciate it.
In there and shit. Yeah, there
Oh, and even Cameron, the fucking main detective, like, or the main, Tom Atkins. It's James Cameron. So.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I love when films do shit like that. Like it's like Easter eggs. For them to be like one of the first to do it, that's amazing.
Right, because sometimes it's so heavy-handed that it like bothers me these days because it's just so much. But if it's done properly, only thing that pisses me off, there's no Craven. Like, how are you gonna leave Wes Craven or Clive Barker? Come on,
right?
Come on, whatever.
Something that I liked about this movie was a lot of like the technical stuff that was going on. Like, yeah, in that Brad scene, there's moments where like you can tell it's clearly a doll and shit, but it really fucking plays really well. Or even like with the slugs, like there's moments in the movie where you can see that they're clearly being pulled on strings and shit. They look like one of those wiggle toys, but I love it. It never. I'll take bad
practical effects over bad fucking CGI like anytime.
Absolutely. Them's the rules. Them's just the rules.
Those are the rules.
We touched on this before, but another note that I had in here was the woman who God, what was she in? She was in that movie. She was in Blood Rage when she was real young. And then later on in life, she went on to be in the movie Requiem for a Dream. Anyway, there's like a woman in this movie who looks just like this bitch. And a zombie like comes through the floor and he has his axe and he just fucking swings it at her. And the way it hits her face, that effect is fantastic.
The way that these scenes fucking play, like, I can't speak specifically, but just like the way that like Detective Cameron like says something about how the place he buried the body is like where the mother of the sorority house lives or whatever, and then it like cuts to the floor. Like it does that really well throughout the movie.
Oh.
God, I don't even know what to credit. The cinematography, the editing, like it's just really good.
Oh.
So much to love. I guess if I do want to talk about a random scene, it's his confession to JC is so good. And then he's like, "Detective, is there a reason you're telling me this besides just kind of wanting to confess to a murder?"
It's one of those moments. It's super tense and like he comes in like Atkins, he comes off so mysterious in this movie. So when you get those little like crumbs of his like past, you're so engaged and you're so like, oh, we're learning a little bit. And I love that he has this like weird affinity for JC and Chris. Like he even calls them like Alfalfa and fucking Spanky and shit. Like this cute, So when he opens up like that, it's a very impactful moment.
How about when he's asking them where they were when the morgue was getting robbed, and the guy's like giving that dumbass excuse, and then JC's like, he's lying, we did it.
He tried. He was like, no. We're gonna feel the full weight of our responsibility.
Honestly, if I have to break it down, like Chris is a weak link of a friend. He won't lie for you. He fucking doesn't appreciate your fucking
depressed all the time.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Chris is the one that tells your girlfriend that you're cheating on her in the club.
Ooh, that's never a good quality.
No, I don't like that in a person.
No one does. Can't trust them. You cannot trust them.
Snitches get stitches, I ain't worried about you. Snitches get stitches, I ain't worried about
We get a quick little cameo in this from Dick Miller.
Oh, the dude from Gremlins?
Yeah, Gremlins, Terminator. I think he was in The Burbs.
I just saw him in the Howling also, which was a first time watch for me.
Yeah.
I've seen many Howling movies, but I'd never seen the first one.
Interesting. How'd that happen?
Basically being my age and watching what was on HBO.
Sure.
And you know, when you're younger, you think, oh, the older shit's gonna be even shittier, but in fact, it's fucking the best
so much
of
better.
the bunch.
It's so much better. I gotta bring it up. Just because it's maybe one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie, and like it got such a strong cackle out of me. But it's at the end of the movie when they're in the basement and shit, and at some point a slug tries to go after Atkins, and he just catches it real quick. He just throws it. I don't know why I found that so fucking funny, but I did.
It's because it's like it should be preposterous, but because it's Tom Atkins, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, he's so cool.
Like, I can't tell you how much I love this man. Like, he's always, like, even in The Fog and shit, like, he's always banging a chick, like, half his age. He's always fucking cool as shit. Even in this movie, he had, like, a dream about being on a beach with a hot chick. Like, even though he wasn't technically with one. I met him and I asked him, I'm like, dude, do you have like do you have some of your contract where you like get to bang a 20-year-old like in every movie? And he laughed and said no. But I still don't know, Tom.
It just works out that way, you know?
He's always good. And I just often joke that Tom Atkins has never been in a bad movie. Like, I did it on our show. Like, I just love him. He can make the biggest pile of shit fucking watchable.
This shit is getting old real fast. You know, I was awakened out of a real pleasant dream to come down here. Are you gonna straighten it out, Raimi, or am I gonna play Poo Patrol with your nightstick?
I screwed up. I sent 2 rookies down here on a case like this, and at some point, they both went to the bathroom.
All right, that's fine. Candy ass, but fine. There's just one minor problem. Corpses that have been dead for 27 years do not get up and go for a walk by themselves.
I took the time to just enjoy the film for what it was, honestly.
Yeah, that's how it should be watched. There's a Monster Squad Easter egg when JC's in the bathroom, and he's he's trying to hide from the slugs and shit, and like written on the wall is like Monster Squad rules or something like that.
No fucking way! I saw the graffiti there, but I didn't take the chance to like read it. Oh, that's really fucking cool. That's getting.
It's one of those movies where if I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure like listening to the director's commentary would not be the waste of your time, you know? So I think we should talk about the differences in the 2 endings.
Right. Yeah. Let's bring that in.
So the ending that I didn't get to see, because we already said about the dumb dog, like, dude, like, first of all, fuck that dog ending, because it implies that maybe JC just got killed.
Right.
And that's not what I want. Like, when you fucking struggle through a fucking horror movie, I don't care if it's Freddy or Jason or whatever the fuck. Like, if you happen to be rooting for the final person, like, you don't want a stinger where they maybe die off screen. Fuck that.
No,
all right?
No, super
but the dope-ass director's cut ending that we finally got on the Scream Factory cut is Detective Ray Cameron with half his head missing, burnt as fuck, just being automatically stumbling down the street, and then he falls down, bursts open, and all the slugs start going off, and you just see that they're going into a fucking cemetery, and it's like, and then the spaceship flies off, like, oh.
So good. It's so good. It's the thing that led me to immediately.
That's how you do an ending.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because it's like the way Ash versus Evil Dead ended. Like, even though we don't get to see that, it still puts in your head, like, you're picturing him, like, having all these other adventures in the fucking apocalypse, you know what I mean? It leaves you happy, and it sparks imagination. Like, same as this, I imagine all these straight up, like, Return of the Living Dead, like, decrepit zombies coming out of the grave full of slugs and shit. It's cool.
I can't wait for us to do an episode on Evil Dead, just so that way we can talk about what our predictions would have been for a season 4, because that ending was so fucking grand and so fucking great. So tell me a little bit about Endless Discussion, just, you know, as if I'm not on the show at all.
Yeah, I figured. This is for the 700 to 850 of you that don't know what the fuck we're talking about. It is a show where we sit in this room and it's a little more cleaned up, and Michael and I just bullshit. We talk about horror movies or whatever, and sometimes we get drunk. As ADD as this fucking was, like, that show is out of control. Like, rewatching an episode, like, it takes us a half hour to answer one question because we just went off. But it's fun. It's a good fucking time. I'm not just saying that because I'm on it. Like, you'll like it, and if you don't, you hate animals.
There you go. Do you have anything coming up, or what's on the horizon for Brad other than Aimless?
I am going to be doing a Jason X episode of In the Mic of Madness. Other than that, I'm going to be playing Resident Evil 3 and just working and purchasing bullshit.
There you go. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on and speaking Night of the Creeps and lending me the movie so I could watch it in the fucking first place.
You're welcome. I know how it is when you borrow a movie from somebody, suddenly it becomes a low priority to watch. I don't know what it is about the human nature, but as soon as somebody tells me to watch a show, it goes to the bottom of my queue. It's not even intentional. It just happens.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Even I forgot that we were doing this today. Like, you sent me the message earlier. I was like, oh shit, I better watch that right now.
Well, luckily it's one of those movies where, like, within a few minutes of putting it in, you're like, wait, I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, no, you're hooked. You're hooked right in. Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on, and I will see you on the next Aimless.
Guys, thanks so much for staying till the end of this video. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that way you know when my next video is coming up. That's going to be it for this video now. Peace, video creeps.